Psycho, a film that some people may regard as Alfred Hitchcock's best work. A film that some may say has the best twist of all time. Now, the story of Psycho came from a novel which was also titled Psycho, and it was written by Robert Bloch. The novel was based off of a murderer by the name of Ed Gein who lived in Wisconsin. Alfred Hitchcock, the director of the film, learned about the novel when his production assistant Peggy Robertson brought it to him. Hitchcock then said what attracted him to the story was, quote, "I think the thing that appealed to me about the book and made me decide to do the picture was the suddenness of the murder in the shower, coming as it were out of the blue," end quote. Hitchcock bid $9,000 to get the rights for the story, but Hitchcock made sure that when he did bid for the rights, that his identity was unknown so the author wouldn't ask for more money, since at the end of the day, it is Alfred Hitchcock. Robert Bloch wouldn't find out the identity of the person who bid the $9,000 until after the bid was accepted. Paramount was unhappy with Hitchcock selecting to do Psycho as his next project. Keep in mind, Alfred Hitchcock was getting towards the end of his contract with Paramount. So Paramount told Hitchcock that they wouldn't finance the movie and that their sound stages were full even though they were in a little bit of a slump at the time. So Hitchcock made another offer to Paramount where the film would be financed by his own production company, Shamley Productions, and the film will be shot over at the Universal lot. But the film would also be distributed by Paramount. Paramount accepted the offer with still the belief that the movie was going to fail. Hitchcock wanted the budget to be below $1 million. He also wanted to shoot the movie black and white or else some scenes would be too gory. Hitchcock also used his television crew from his television series Alfred Hitchcock Presents. The crew, including both composer Bernard Herrmann and editor George Tomasini, costed $62,000. The iconic film set also came at a low cost as it only costed $15,000 to build. And a writer by the name of James Kavanaugh submitted a first treatment into Alfred Hitchcock. But Hitchcock found the script to be too dull and boring, so he went to go look for another writer. Then came along screenwriter Joseph Stefano, who had to try and convince Hitchcock to write the script, since Alfred Hitchcock did not like working with younger people. So Stefano talked to Hitchcock about his idea for the story from the beginning of the film up to the shower scene. Right then and there, Hitchcock loved Stefano's idea for the film, mainly because the first 45 minutes of the film, you follow the character of Marion Crane as if she's the main character, but then halfway through the movie, she gets killed off. So for the role of Marion Crane, Hitchcock wanted a popular actress, so he chose Janet Leigh to play the part. That way, audiences would feel even more of a shock once a star of Janet Leigh's caliber was killed off halfway through the movie. For the role of Norman Bates, Alfred Hitchcock wanted none other than Anthony Perkins to play the part. Luckily, Perkins was available after the first draft of the script was finished. Perkins was paid $40,000 for the role, which was twice the amount Janet Leigh was paid. John Gavin, Martin Balsam, and Vera Miles, who had one film left on her contract with Alfred Hitchcock, would round out the supporting cast. Production was mostly done on the backlot of Universal, since Hitchcock did not like shooting on location due to all the background noise. That would later be a pain to get rid of in post-production. Alfred Hitchcock would not reveal the ending to any of the crew and cast members until it was time to shoot the scene. He also made the crew promise to not tell anybody what happens in the movie. The most iconic scene in the movie, which was also the hardest scene to shoot, was the shower scene. There were rumors of Saul Bass, who did the storyboarding for the film, that he directed the shower scene, but that rumor has since been debunked by many people on set, saying that that is not true. That Hitchcock had directed that entire scene. For this scene, they also had to use a nude model so that way they knew how to shoot it without showing any graphic nudity. Since films in 1959 were not allowed to show any graphic nudity at all. This would then mark the very first time that a nude model was used for a Hollywood film. Not only that, but this is the first movie scene to ever actually show a toilet. Good job, Hollywood. It only took until 1960 to finally see that toilet. The final shot of the scene showing Janet Leigh dead in the bathroom, Leigh was supposed to wear contacts for this part to help prevent her from blinking. However, in 1959, it took 6 weeks to get used to contacts, so Leigh had to go in and do it on her own. This shot took at least 20 takes. Janet Leigh then spoke about this scene well after the film had released, saying that, quote, "I stopped taking showers and I take baths. Only baths. I make sure the doors and windows of the house are locked and I leave the bathroom door open and shower curtain open. I'm always facing the door, watching, no matter where the shower head is." Unquote. There is also a rumor of Hitchcock using cold water for this scene to get a more powerful performance from Janet Leigh, but that rumor has also been debunked by Janet Leigh herself, saying that the crew tried to make the water as warm as possible. The crew also used chocolate syrup for the blood, and they used the sound of a knife stabbing a cassava melon as the knife sound effects. Overall, the 3-minute scene took 7 days to shoot. Before the production of the film, Hitchcock wanted to act like he was looking for actresses for Norman Bates' mother to hide the big twist of the film. Hitchcock also had a chair on set that had Mrs. Bates on it in order to deceive people of the real truth of Mrs. Bates. When time came to film the death scene of private investigator Milton Arbogast, Hitchcock got the flu the day of shooting, but he still wanted the crew to shoot the scene since he already storyboarded it so the crew would already know what to do. Alfred Hitchcock reviewed what the crew had shot that day, and luckily, he was happy with it. When Hitchcock showed the rough cut of the film to writer Joseph Stefano, Stefano thought the movie was horrible, and when Hitchcock asked him for his thoughts, he didn't know what to say. Hitchcock then leaned over and patted him on the knee and said, "Relax, it's only the rough cut." Then when Stefano saw it again, he thought it was really good, but it wasn't until the iconic music was added that made Stefano love the movie. The historic score, which was composed by Bernard Herrmann, a little bit of the music is actually used in 1977's Star Wars during one of the scenes, which was composed by John Williams, who was a friend of Herrmann's. Joseph Stefano also had a meeting with some people from the Motion Picture Production Code. They are the people who determine what must be censored in the movie because it's too inappropriate to show to audiences. Now, when Joseph had the meeting with them, they had one big issue with the film, and it had nothing to do with the shower scene. It had to do with the final scene with the psychiatrist, because in the scene, the word transvestite is used, and the people from the Motion Picture Production Code found it to be dirty. So Stefano had to pull out a dictionary and show them that the word just means a man who likes to wear women's clothing. The Motion Picture Production Code ended up being okay with it, so it was left in the movie.
Why was he dressed like that?
He's a transvestite.
Not exactly.
A man who dresses in women's clothing in order to achieve a sexual change or satisfaction is a transvestite. But in Norman's case, he was simply doing everything possible to keep alive the illusion of his mother being alive.
One of the trailers that was released for Psycho, which was shot the day after production was finished, shows Alfred Hitchcock touring the production set and basically teasing the audience throughout the trailer.
Well, I suppose you'd call this his hideaway. His hobby, as you see, was taxidermy. Crow here, an owl there. Now, an important scene took place in this room. There was a private supper here. And, oh, by the way, this picture has great significance because, let's go along to cabin number 1.
But what he also did in this trailer to mislead the audience was once he got to the bathroom where Janet Leigh's character is murdered in the film, instead of showing her body in the shower, he showed Vera Miles in the shower. When the film released into theaters, people weren't allowed to enter showings of the movie after it already started, just in case they walked in after Janet Leigh was murdered, who was supposedly the main star of the film. Signs would be put out that read, quote, "You must see Psycho from the very beginning. No one, not even the President of the United States, not the theater manager's brother, not even the Queen of England, will be allowed into the theater after the beginning of each showing of Psycho. This is to allow you to enjoy Psycho more. By the way, after you see the film, please do not give away the ending. It's the only one we have." End quote. Psycho was very divisive among the critics when it came out, but it wasn't until later in that year until the film started to get the praise that it does now. Psycho made $50 million at the box office, which was 10 times the amount that it took to distribute the film, and overall the film was a big success. Psycho is now regarded by most as one of the best psychological thrillers of all time, as well as having one of the most chilling endings.
They're probably watching me. Well, let them. Let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.